was glad it was over.
Number 20. Taylor Hicks. During the 5th season of American Idol, Taylor Hicks emerged as a talented individual that defied expectations.
This is what we dream about. Come on, America! I'm living the American dream!
His eventual win secured him a chance at major label success. Along with the release of some successful singles and a few studio albums, Hicks also tried his hand at musicals, appearing in Grease. He's since made various television appearances, worked a residency in Las Vegas, and opened a restaurant in Alabama. Aside from the odd track, the artist recorded less music following his shift to his independent label.
This I promise you forever.
His more recent presence on programs like The Kelly Clarkson Show showcased his newer work, such as Porch Swing. With this in mind, there's hope for the singer to focus more on recording in the foreseeable future.
You and me go dreaming, swinging on a porch swing.
Number 19. Baby Bash. In the 90s and mainly 2000s, Baby Bash arrived on the scene with his entertaining brand of hip-hop.
I ain't worried about a thing, I just hit me a lick. I got a fat sack and a super fly chick.
His career really took off after the release of his third album, The Smokin' Nephew. 2 more studio albums followed that decade, with the rapper collaborating with the likes of Frankie J, Akon, and others over the years.
Don't look no farther, baby, I'm that, yeah.
Once we entered the 2010s, Bash kept working with exciting musicians, even though his popularity had seemingly peaked. He got some modest attention for his Bashtown album, but failed to reach chart success in subsequent efforts. Bash hasn't put out his own solo music since 2016, but he's popped up as a featured artist as recently as 2020.
I can't lie, I'm so addicted to your beautiful glow.
Number 18. JC Chasez. As part of NSYNC, JC Chasez became a fan favorite for his vocal abilities.
There ain't no time to waste.
The group's dissolution gave him the potential to break out into a solo career. While he made an attempt to establish himself with one studio album, Chasez never attracted as big an audience as the boy band did with his own music. Deciding to take a step back from a singing career, he became a judge on America's Best Dance Crew. After the mid-2000s, fans would only hear his voice on songs in infrequent releases, often as a guest or when NSYNC would perform. Shifting his priorities to the studio, Chasez has turned into a prolific songwriter and producer in the industry, and cat commercials.
The wet food cats ask for by name.
Number 17. Tevin Campbell. Recognized for his talent at a young age, Tevin Campbell was mentored by the likes of Quincy Jones and Prince, and thrived.
Can we talk for a minute?
The 1990s gave him multiple hit albums and singles such as Can We Talk. With a voice beyond his years, Campbell rivaled other contemporary R&B acts for his ability to release ballads and crowd-pleasing tracks.
I'm ready to love you forever.
His third and fourth albums didn't reach the same heights though, and his career waned by the end of the decade. The 21st century has seen him deliver some performances, a compilation album, and appear as a feature on songs. But his last studio album came out in 1999. Nevertheless, many will always celebrate him as the voice of Powerline from 1995's A Goofy Movie. Number 16. Sananda Maitreya, aka Terrence Trent D'Arby. This singer's debut album included a number of hits.
Sign your name across my heart.
Its most prominent and highest charting track was Wishing Well.
Wish me love or wishing well to kiss and tell.
The single captivated audiences with its mix of pop and soul elements. The star, known back then as Terrence Trent D'Arby, didn't stop recording, but passing trends and other artists usurped him after his later records didn't quite meet expectations. In the 2000s, he changed his name to Sananda Maitreya, distancing himself from his previous work. He didn't stop working during that time either. He has a dozen studio albums under his belt, with most of the later releases failing to make a major impact. Number 15. Mark Morrison. Whether you loved the song itself or were into its use in other media, we can all agree that Return of the Mac was a force of nature in the 1990s. Mark Morrison enjoyed tremendous success from this single. He eventually attracted attention from the likes of Death Row Records. So it's safe to say the R&B singer was steadily rising within the industry. He collaborated with a slew of artists throughout the years, but didn't deliver a sophomore studio album until 2006. By this point, his popularity had faded, and he'd encountered various legal setbacks. His subsequent works have also largely flown under the radar. Commercials have since helped revive Morrison's most well-known track, providing a welcome bit of nostalgia. Number 14. David Gray. From the early 1990s, David Gray showed promise as a compelling singer and songwriter. It took the release of his smash hit White Ladder album to really get people listening, though.
And if you want it, come and get it, crying out loud.
The release took him around the world with hits like Babylon and Please Forgive Me.
I got half a mind to scream out loud.
His later Life in Slow Motion album was also well received. Though he has continued to release good music at a relatively steady pace, he hasn't seen as much success as he did at the turn of the century. Gray did later go on tour for the 20th anniversary of White Ladder, though. Meanwhile, his many albums have spanned genres, featuring rock, electronica, and folk influences that remain underrated.
Well, I'm hot and so bored. Hot and so...
Number 13. Howie Day. If you were listening to the radio in 2004, you probably remember Howie Day's single Collide.
Even the best fall down sometime.
The song propelled him to stardom for a brief moment towards the middle of the decade. He also delivered hits like She Says, but nothing could quite compete with Collide and its use in all kinds of television shows from the era.
Somehow find you and I collide.
Over the years, though, the singer has mostly spent time in the news because of his run-ins with the law. His subsequent musical releases received less widespread attention, and a series of legal problems clouded his reputation, including separate incidents of assault.
If you're gonna be there, be there.
Number 12. Daniel Bedingfield. In the early 2000s, Daniel Bedingfield appeared ready to take the music world by storm. His single Gotta Get Through This, which he also wrote and co-produced, was a breakthrough for him. The singer showed off his wide-ranging talents as the decade progressed, as evidenced by ballads like If You're Not the One.
And I wish that you could be the one I die with.
After his second album in 2004, he mainly did some behind-the-scenes work in between the occasional release. The pop star has written for many other artists, and notably worked as a judge on the New Zealand version of The X Factor. His younger sister Natasha also has an illustrious career, becoming an even more famous member of the family. Number 11. Gotye. Wally de Backer, better known by the stage name Gotye, was a sensation in the early 2010s. The Australian musician was the talk of 2011 after the release of Somebody That I Used to Know. Naturally, this Grammy-winning hit had people wondering about his next release. Instead of profiting from the international solo fame long-term, though, de Backer prioritized other musical ventures. His work with rock band The Basics and his own labels became his main focus. As of 2023, he's yet to create another solo studio album to follow up 2011's Making Mirrors under the Gotye name.
We will be with you when you're leaving.
But many are hoping that the singer will someday return to the mainstream spotlight.
Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody.
Number 10. Colby O'Donis. Signed to Motown at 10, by 14, O'Donis was already opening for the likes of the Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, and Ne-Yo.
Drift me away, far away, yeah.
When he caught Akon's ear, it really seemed as if he was going to be making the leap to the big leagues. And sure enough, in 2008, he released What You Got featuring Akon, peaking at number 14 on the Billboard charts. In 2009, he followed it up by featuring in Lady Gaga's Just Dance to critical acclaim.
When I come through on the dance floor, checking out that catalog.
He was on the fast track to being the next big thing, but instead, he just kinda disappeared and his proposed 2014 follow-up was delayed. He did put out a new single titled Hold On in 2020, though.
Hold on tight for the ride of your life. Hold on tight, let the pain fly by.
Number 9. Jesse McCartney. By the time Jesse McCartney was a tween, he had already established himself as an actor on All My Children and a singer in Dream Street. When he struck out solo with his debut album, McCartney officially became a teenage heartthrob and household name.
I don't want another penny face. I don't want just anyone to hold.
Beautiful Soul went platinum and earned him a number of Teen Choice Awards. But he's never really recaptured that level of fame or public interest again. He's released multiple albums since then, all of which have performed respectably, was on The Masked Singer, and has continued to act. But for many, he remains most associated with the 2000s.
I want you in your beautiful soul.
Number 8. Daniel Powter. You might not remember this Canadian singer-songwriter by name, but we bet you know all the words to the chorus of his 2005 hit song, Bad Day.
'Cause you had a bad day, you take it one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around.
It reached number 1 on a variety of charts, including the all-important Billboard Hot 100. Thanks to the song being used in a number of ad campaigns, Powter became an international music sensation. Despite releasing a number of follow-up singles, however, Powter was never able to recapture the magic or success he experienced with Bad Day. Still, he remains part of the music industry, and even recently put out an electronic version of Bad Day with Agent Zed. Number 7. Frankie J. This Mexican-American singer experienced success in both English and Spanish in the late 90s into the 2000s, first as a member of Cumbia Kings and later as an even bigger solo artist. He scored a number of hit singles over the years, but he hasn't made a significant impact on English-language charts since his 2006 album Priceless.
Don't wanna try about you sad enough. It's been a rough road, maybe just let it go.
While his influence in this regard has since waned, he actually earned a Grammy nomination for Best Latin Pop Album in 2013 with Faith, Hope y Amor. Still, his 2017 album 11 failed to chart, much like what came before it, 2011's Courage. Number 6. Mario. There is no denying that Mario is talented and made quite a name for himself in the industry.
Oh, baby, you never worry about what I do.
His singing skills, showcased at talent shows, caught the attention of producers and record labels before the age of 15.
How do I breathe without you here by my side?
His debut album made him a hit with many, and his follow-up went platinum, catapulting the young star to the forefront of the R&B genre. Since then, he's remained active in the industry, even starting an independent record label dubbed New Citizen LLC. Still, his music releases haven't made the same sort of waves they used to. Number 5. Sisqó. In 1999, this R&B artist took the world by storm with his solo debut, Unleash the Dragon. Thong Song was an insanely catchy hit, and was followed up by Incomplete, which went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The dragon had been released, and there was simply no putting him back in the cage, or so it seemed. Return of Dragon, Sisqó's follow-up album, sold plenty of units, but the singles underperformed. Sisqó then branched out, also appearing on reality television shows like American Song Contest in recent years. But apart from a Thong Song remix, his newer work has largely flown under the radar. Number 4. Lou Bega. Mambo Number 5, unlike Mambos 1 through 4, ruled the airwaves in 1999, and as such, remains in the mind of many a 90s kid.
A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side.
Bega's very first single was a reinterpretation of Cuban musician Damaso Pérez Prado's original 1949 song. This modern take took Bega from an unknown to a global sensation. Mambo Number 5 was so massive, though, that it easily overshadowed everything else Bega released. Given that he charted with a few more songs over the next couple of years, he can't reasonably be called a one-hit wonder, but most people associate him primarily with the tune.
And this is how we go. Mambo, mambo, hey. The babes are all around me.
Number 3. Genuine. In the 90s, this R&B star was a force to be reckoned with in the music industry. After performing with the group Swing Mob, he went solo, churning out a series of huge albums, the first 2 of which went double platinum, the next 2 platinum and gold respectively. Though he has continued to produce music and chart, Genuine's later offerings have been much quieter successes. It's been a while since his last major album drop, and though he competed on Celebrity Big Brother in 2018, Genuine isn't as prominent in the industry these days. Number 2. Sean Kingston. This singer made a huge impression with his debut single Beautiful Girls in 2007.
You're way too beautiful, girl. That's why it'll never work.
Not only did it hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it dominated the charts around the world. It was the start of a bright career, with both his debut album and the follow-up, Tomorrow, resulting in a number of big singles. Unfortunately, in 2011, he was involved in a jet skiing accident that nearly cost him his life and put his career on hiatus. He released the Back to Life album in 2013, which charted, and his 4th studio album, Road to Deliverance, came out in 2022, though it wasn't as popular.
Shawty fire burning on the dance floor. Whoa.
Number 1. Tayo Cruz. This English singer-songwriter first found success at home in 2006 with I Just Wanna Know.
If you're leaving me, baby.
With his follow-up album Rockstar, Cruz took the world by storm. It spawned a total of 7 singles, all of which made an impression on both sides of the Atlantic. Dynamite was particularly successful in the US.
We gon' go all night. We gon' light it up like it's dynamite.
His follow-up album Tayo performed well internationally, but made little impact in America. And since then, he's been largely quiet. He's released some singles and notably co-written a song with David Guetta, but he certainly isn't in the spotlight like he once was.
Gonna break your heart. I'm only gonna break your heart.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.